I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're speaking with a very insightful author. His name is Rodney Daniel. He has written a book called Saved but Stuck. He takes a deep dive into the struggles faithful individuals face, highlighting the dichotomy of being committed to God, yet feeling trapped in certain aspects of life. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight, and we ask viewers like you to support writers like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing this wonderful book. Rodney, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you, Logan, for having me. I really appreciate it. It's a pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure.
The pleasure is all mine, sir. Let's give the folks at home the big picture. What's your book all about?
So, Saved but Stuck is really about people who, as you mentioned in the introduction, love God and are committed to God. And a lot of times feeling as if though, since I am committed to God, I am faithful and walking the walk with God, but yet I'm stuck, I'm stagnant, I can't move forward in maybe a relationship or maybe on my job, maybe can't get past some bitterness, of some past hurt, just any area of my life that I'm kind of plateaued in and just kind of stagnant and don't know what to do, where to go, or even how I got here. And so this book kind of gives us some keys as number one, why we may have become stuck, and then what to do to get free, and what are some steps that I can do to make sure that I can maintain that freedom.
Now, what drove you to write about this particular subject? Were you feeling kind of stuck spiritually as well at one point?
Well, now I have been stuck now, and what originally drove me to write about this is maybe about, I'm thinking, Logan, about 30 years ago, I was teaching a class, and I was kind of teaching about the children of Israel and how they were wandering in the wilderness around for 40 years and just couldn't get to where they were going, just kind of going around and around in circles. And it kind of hit me. I was thinking, they love God. God loves them. They're his people. And he protects them. He preserved them the whole time they were there in the wilderness. And he saved them from everything, but yet they were still stuck. And that kind of hit me. And I wrote on the top of my page, saved but stuck. And I realized that there were some people who needed to hear that and needed to understand, how to deal with that concept. And I realized then I need to write a book about that situation. And again, 30 years ago, I wrote that down, and life happened, but I still, had to just kind of go through that.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting premise, that's for sure. Your book
Indeed.
talks about the internal struggles such as depression, fear, complacency. Where do you think faith intersects with these challenges, and what message do you hope to convey to people who are grappling with those challenges?
I think number one, what faith should tell us is that just because I love God and just because I have this relationship with God, it doesn't mean that I'm not going to have problems. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to have issues. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to get depressed. I'm not going to, get, stuck in some areas of my life. So what I want people to understand is, number one, just because these things happen doesn't mean that God has turned his back on me. It doesn't mean that he doesn't love me. And sometimes it doesn't even mean that I've done something wrong. Sometimes life just happens, but faith intersects with that, so that I have to make sure that I still the steps that I have been taking to get to God, I have to still make sure that I maintain those steps. But the main thing is just to make sure that I still keep God in the forefront. But he hadn't forgotten about me just because I'm in a season of my life that I can't get out of. He's still there. So I want people to know that, because it's not always about God leaving me, which a lot of times people tend to go to initially, which is never the case.
Yeah, when something bad happens, it's sort of like a natural phenomenon, I guess, to say, why would God let this happen? Why would God do this to me? And it's
Absolutely.
not God doing it to you. We have free will and all of that. And God is actually there to protect you and guide you during those hard times, even more so than when things are going smoothly, don't you think?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that is the case. And I think but sometimes even the things that happen, sometimes it seems harsh to us on the outside and it feels harsh, but sometimes it's God protecting us from circumstances. And I talk about that even in the book. Sometimes when I feel myself stuck, just because it's uncomfortable to me doesn't mean that God is still going to allow me to rush into another season of my life that may be barren, that may be empty, that may be dangerous for me. So sometimes, even our situations of being stuck, it's a good thing for us, because God is always protecting. He sees stuff around the corner that we have no clue of. So we just have to make sure that we trust him and, walk the walk that he's kind of mandated for us to walk.
Yeah. Are you, what's your spiritual journey like? Are you active in your church? Tell us a little bit about that.
I am active in my church, and I am a preacher's kid, so I have
Mhm.
been active in church for my entire life. I can never remember not being in church. But I am active in my church. I go to a church in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, where my sister actually is the pastor, and I teach down there. So yeah, that I'm very active in church and have always been in one form or another.
That's
Churches has always been my life.
Yeah, it's been your grounding, your roots, I would think, particularly since your
Absolutely,
dad was a pastor as well. Tell
absolutely.
me a little bit about the external situations that you discuss in your book, such as relationship issues, financial challenges. These are common issues that many people face. How does your book approach these topics from a faith-based perspective?
So I think sometimes there are a lot of different issues that can kind of get us stuck. Sometimes it can be something like a relationship. Sometimes we may um, prioritize a relationship wrong, or sometimes we may enter into a relationship that we had no business being in the relationship altogether, and we end up being stuck. Sometimes we may end up getting stuck because we're trying to move out of a situation or a season in our life that it's not time for us to move yet. Sometimes there's some work left for us to do in that situation. And God is saying, no, no, I can't let you rush out of this because there's still some connections, there's still some relationships, there's still some work that needs to be done, something that you need to put your hands on and work more on. And I can't allow you to go into another season of your life or another place in your life when this situation right here is already incomplete. So I think um, we just have to. I think the main thing that we have to kind of find out that we lay out in this book is, why am I stuck? How did I get here? Why am I still here at this situation in my life? Is there something that I need to be doing? The reason that I'm still here and I can't move. So it's always about the why am I here? How did I get here? And now what? Now that I'm here, then now what?
Hmm. What do you hope readers take away from the book? Who's your audience, and how do you think this book will help them with their own personal challenges?
My audience, Logan, are the people of God, because I
Hmm.
think that we've all, in some circumstance, some situation, some area of our life, have been in this exact place. We've been stuck. We've wondered, why am I still here? Why can't I advance on my job? So the people of God who may find themselves at this juncture of their life, those are who my readers are, and I want them to take away the just the idea of once they get here, to think about, why am I here? Is it something that I'm doing? Is it just, life, and is it a season that I have to just kind of wait out? Or is it something that God is trying to tell me in a situation? So just always look at the whys of how I got here, and then maybe take a look at some of the things, some steps that I can take in order to, once I learn the why, take some look at some steps that I can take in order to not only get free, but to maintain that freedom so that I don't end up in the situation again. If I don't know the why, then likely chances are I'll get stuck again, even if I get free. So I need to find out why I got free, why I got stuck, and what I need to do about it so that it doesn't become a cycle.
How important is prayer in your connection, your relationship with God, and getting unstuck?
I think prayer is crucially important. My conversation with God, in this, I liken it to a relationship with anyone else, a family member or a spouse. If there's no communication, then there's no relationship, or it's a very poor relationship that's not going to last. So I have to make sure that I'm constantly in communication with God. Number one, to find out, what is He saying to me about why I'm still here. And what is He telling me about that I need to do? What are some steps that I need to take? Because just because your steps, Logan, to get free may not be my steps. And so it's not like a cookie cutter kind of thing. So I have to make sure that I'm listening to what God is telling me about my particular situation so that I can make my own journey, because the journeys are a whole lot different. So prayer is crucially important in this, as well as I think anything else within our life, especially our spiritual life.
Absolutely. Rodney Daniel has written an amazing book. It is called Saved but Stuck. He takes a deep dive into the struggles that people of faith face all of the time. He takes a look at the dichotomy of being committed to God, yet feeling unsatisfied, feeling unhappy, sometimes feeling trapped in certain parts of your life, and how to get unstuck. And that's probably the best part of this book, is how to get yourself unstuck spiritually. Rodney, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me.
Oh, the pleasure is all mine. I enjoyed our talk. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.